Actually, a really good road test for us this week, so it's nice. It's been a crazy year with a lot of home meets jammed at the beginning of the season, so a lot riding on road scores, which is normal, but they're all jammed at the end of our years. So just looking forward to getting on the road and starting the process of postseason training at this point.
Is that something you talk about? Like, hey, this is the new normal for the rest of this. You got one home meet left, but besides that, this is what we got to get good at. Is that what you kind of talk
Yeah,
about?
we've talked a little bit about it, but we talk more about like what we're doing right now has to be portable. We have to be able to take it with us no matter where we go. Because look, the postseason, that's obvious that we're going to be on the road. So it's just a matter of wrapping your mind around the fact that even last Friday with Alabama here, we were talking about being in our bubble, controlling our energy, even though the arena was for us, trying to start getting into that mindset and hopefully we're going to be able to take this stuff on the road because we're in a really good spot right now.
Yeah, I was gonna ask what did you learn from Alabama, and is it just like, all right, let's just do a lot more of that? I mean, what did you take away from it?
Yeah, I think we finally lived up to our average. We're still not. The crazy thing is that that should be us most nights. We feel like we're that good of a team. Now, you can debate whether we did have an event that wasn't as strong, and we had an event that overperformed maybe a little bit from what our average is. But generally speaking, the overall result is a pretty average. That's a positive when I say an average. That means that's what we see every day in practice. We are capable of that more often than not. So the goal now is to try to attain a little bit more of our potential. So we've got to increase our average now these next few weeks. I felt like we did a good job at the beginning of the year identifying that we had great potential, then believing in our potential, and then now we're starting down the road of actually performing up to our potential. So we're at the average phase. We got a little bit left to push.
Yeah. What happens when you have a meet where you, I mean, you guys didn't miss. I mean, you had like a 197, but that was it. Like, I mean, is there a point where you almost can tell someone like, okay, well, really go for it if you're six. Like, what do you do with that? Do you want to like log a few of those before you start telling people to take risks, or how do you use that?
Try to get into the system where the way I look at it is we're in the space of this year right now. We're mid-season. Those first two athletes up, if somebody knocks it out of the park, that should allow for some aggressive push later on. Going for a stick on vault, that type of stuff, rather than just, hey, we just need to stay on our feet. That's a balancing act. The goal is that you approach it the same way every time, but the reality is it's not the same way every time. When there's a major mistake in front of you, you are adapting a little bit. So the main thing is the front of our lineup has to do a really good job, and that was the secret on Friday. Is the front of our lineup did a really good job, and look what happens when we can get on a roll. I think we got on a roll on 3 events. So good scores happen when you can get on a roll. So that's really more you got to set yourself up to get on a roll, because if you're struggling to get started, then the score will suffer.
Yeah. So that would be like in that 6th spot. That would be with the vaulter. Vault would be, go ahead and stick it, and even if you fall over, it's okay. Or like bars, it'd be like handstands, like go up 90, and if you go over, it's fine, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well, yeah. If you get to that 6th girl and you've got a 49.5,
yeah, exactly.
I mean that was our beam. That was our floor rotation.
Yeah.
We had a 49.475,
right.
I think, before 49.45 before Olivia went.
Right.
So, I mean the pressure's on and off at the same time.
Right.
Like now it's just you that you're going to let down if you mess up, not your whole team. Yeah. So it does allow you to push a little bit.
And maybe seeing that against Alabama, I don't know, does that help their confidence of like, now that they've seen it, I don't know, now the 5 hits in a row, now they can think about it. It's not so fast all of a sudden. It's like, okay, now we've been in this situation before, and here I can do this.
I think that, and I also think the confidence that we can duplicate that is important. Yeah. Like, to know the people around you. A big part of scoring high in our sport is the trust factor around you, not just in yourself, because you can only control you, but when you know that the odds are pretty good that you're getting set up for a big score and that you actually just have to do your average, you don't have to overperform. I think that's sort of the secret to high scoring, and that's the best teams. They just walk in with that confidence in themselves and in their lineups, and I think we're starting to figure that out.
And with Hannah, just what have you seen out of her the last couple of weeks to step up, especially on floor with Julianne out? What have you seen out of her, and how did she do it?
She practices really well, and that's been the frustration, I think, in the first part of January, is her practices were way better than her meet performances. Not all the time. She's had some great meet performances, but she wasn't as consistent as she would have been wanted to be. Sometimes that last minute switch is actually a good thing, because you just don't have time to dwell on it. You actually just go in. I love it, because if she steps into that spot and makes it, I mean, now look what it takes to break back into the floor lineup. She just went 9-9.
Yeah.
So it increases the pressure to be in our lineups should be more than the pressure to beat the other team. So if that's the case, then you're practicing with high pressure every day, and so none of this other stuff debilitates you. I think that's the secret. If she's ready on these events, and the other alternates are ready, and when they go in they succeed at a high level, man, that's just really it sharpens everybody in the lineup.
Were you able to give Julianne a little rest too, because you knew we got a pretty solid floor person, so just worry about vault for a little while.
Everybody wants a rest for 1 week.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to rest the rest of the season.
You're right.
So yes, it was helpful, because that quad meet, she needed to be we should not be pushing that ankle. Maybe it's postseason and she wants to go, but sometimes building that trust means the other people can go, and that means now if you want back in, now you've got to actually continue to improve. So it's good she's in a better spot because of the rest, but I guarantee she wants back in her spots.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah. And it's kind of like I was talking with them with floor being, I don't know, it seems like floor's the most consistent, at least, and it seems like that's the one where you don't really ever have the bad meet, right? But is that, I don't know, how much does that help of, like, with them? It's like, well, they can be supremely confident in this, and then they don't have to worry about the other three.
I think anytime you can take an event off the table anxiety-wise is a good thing. I think we're getting to the point on the other three events. It's definitely on beam and vault. We're at a point where the anxiety level is down, and I think beam, we're actually very confident, but beam's always beam, so you can only be so confident on beam. But when in these dual meet formats, we have our last two events we're going to feel confident about, and now it's just going to be, can we get those first two events to start strong? Because I don't think it's been the problem that we're not good on those events as much as it's been the problem that we can't continually start slow. We have to start fast. So what we did at Alabama was we started really fast. Right. We had a great bar score in Vegas, but that was our last event. So the way I do the math is, it isn't bars. It's our first two events, we're not rolling.
What do you what would it mean to get going right from the start this week? And is that maybe one of the things you want to get accomplished?
Yeah, I think we have to get started fast, and it's the event we need to get started on. This might be our Sweet 16 rotation. This might be our regional second round rotation, and we can't keep, starting and stopping and stepping on our tail. So we actually got to get started. Yeah, it'd be nice. Just go out and perform our average, and we're better. We just haven't shown how good we are on bars yet. It's just really frustrating for the team and for us.
Yeah. And I guess, is there anything you tell them? You don't want to repeat what happened in Arkansas, right? Just how do you kind of erase that one, or do you just not even bring it up to try to get it better this time?
The good thing about this sport is you you fail a lot more than you succeed in our sport. So we've failed immensely in practice since Arkansas. So I don't have to remind them of anything in particular. We've had some. In reality, look, the last 2 weeks of practice, we talked about this yesterday. We changed practices. We changed the mentality and the intensity of practices with the intent to fail more. We just felt like we were too comfortable and successful, and they were starting to become. The edge was coming off in practice. So we failed more in the last 2 weeks in practice than before that, and our results are better. So. You can't do that all season, but you can push periodically like that and just expose some weaknesses and force them to address everybody's got their own little issue, so force them to address their issue. They've done it right now, so hopefully one more day of this. We're pushing really hard today. One more day of this. We keep everybody or get everybody healthy, and we'll be in a good spot.